Jay, you ready?
I'm ready.
We're verklempt. Okay. Guys, today is such a special episode. Today we're going to be chatting with Jason Tez. Jason is a digital creator and blogger from New Jersey. He also works as a personal shopper at Net-a-Porter in New York City. Jason is an expert on all things ranging from fashion to lifestyle and digital branding. Not only is Jason a digital creator and blogger, but he has a knack for photography and an eye for overall brand presentation. Jason has collaborated with global brands like Timex, Express, Tom's Shoes, Bliss Skincare, and more. He has had the opportunity to work alongside A-list celebrities and is a frequent VIP attendee of New York Fashion Week. And today he's going to bring you guys something very special. We're going to chat, but he's also going to give you 3 essential tips for an aesthetic Instagram feed. Jason!
Hey, Tara.
How exciting is this?
I'm so excited to be. It's just awesome that you're finally doing this, and I'm so proud of you to have this podcast. So thank you for having me.
And thank you for supporting it and being one of my first guests. This is incredible. And I don't know if you listened to my first episode, but this is how we're doing things now. Is I'm going to start by opening you up with a few speed questions.
Let's do it.
That way, if our listeners don't like what they hear, they can just leave. Like, that's it. You X out the window. You don't like what he likes. Peace. You don't have to listen.
Bye.
All right, let's get into it. Jay, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? I have to say seafood, only because it reminds me of my grandma. I'm like all about anything seafood, mussels, clams, shrimp, lobster.
Why does it remind you of your grandma?
She actually lived down the shore for a huge part of her life, so she kind of like, she's always like boiling, making seafood, and like that was our, giant dinner with the family. So, coming to hate it as a kid and then learning to love it. Yeah, anyone who like personally knows me is well aware how much I love seafood.
And guys, he's talking about the Jersey Shore. That's right.
Jersey
That's
Shore.
Right. For anybody not from here, yep, we do have delicious seafood.
Seaside Heights is
right.
listening.
Jay, if you could pick one, what is your favorite book?
Favorite book? I have a few, but I think my most recent one is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F Beep. Really good. Listen to on Audible, and yeah, I'd probably also say a few others. Maybe
isn't that great to be able to listen?
Yeah, I love it, and it's just nice while if you're working in the background driving. And another one would probably be like The Journey of Souls, which is a good spiritual book. It really talks about like what we're meant to do here, our soul, if we're aligned or connected. So very good reads.
Okay, I'm going to list those in the show notes, everyone. And then, Jay, what would you say if you could choose one? What's your favorite place?
Favorite place? Oh man, probably Australia, just because a huge part of my dad's side is from there. So Sydney, Perth, Melbourne, and it's just a different world. I mean, you're on the total opposite time zone and side of the world. So I mean, it's just really refreshing. Everyone's so nice, calm, kind, cool, and collected. I would say
opposite of New Jersey.
So opposite of New York and New Jersey, we're always go, go, go. And I think we're just always like rushing to get to our destination. But, you'll get like...
Do you remember how long the flight is from East Coast to...
I don't remember
Australia?
Exactly, but it's definitely over like it's 20 something hours. So you get so bored on the plane, don't know what to do with yourself. Like you make friends. Like I've gotten in trouble so many times for like standing up and making friends, and like we're just chatting and they're like, oh, sit down. But
made a nightclub in the air. That's it.
Yeah, I miss it. I haven't been in a few years. We try to either they come here or I go there every few years, but very different. You'll get like somebody's leftovers from like their fish and chips, and you just get like a bonus fries if you're sitting.
Like this, you're talking. This is everyday life in Australia. People are that nice; they'll just give their food away.
A compliment in the elevator. It's really nice. Yeah.
Wow. Well, So anybody listening, that's not the life we lead in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. Like maybe down south, you get things like that. So that's why to us, this is like a phenomenon. But Jay, I'm going to give you one more speed question because I see what you got happening over there. What is your favorite candle?
So the one I have lit, I feel like I have to talk about it. It's Le Labo. It's the cedar scent. So it just smells like beautiful, warm cedar wood. Very good manly scent, I would say. But my favorite candle at the moment is by Jo Malone, and it's also a woodsy scent. I love. I'm a sucker for that.
Anything Jo Malone smells amazing.
Anything Jo Malone, but it's wood, sage, and sea salt. So I feel like if you have like a new space, you want to feel inspired, maybe switch up the scent and like get inspired for a project you're doing. You get creative mode. It's just amazing. You will not regret it. Splurge. Don't think twice about it. You'll love it.
And guys, for those, I don't know if I said it already. If I did, I apologize. So I'll probably say it 10 times. But me and Jay are very close friends.
Hmm.
We love a good candle.
Gotta have a candle going. It's like
There's nothing better than like a new candle. The
just like
end.
it inspires you to clean your room and like get clear on like, it feels like a reset. To me, a candle's almost like when I get a haircut. It's the
It
same
shifts the
feeling.
energy. It totally
Yeah.
shifts the energy. But like, sorry guys, this is like super candid recording. I have a candle lit next to me that's actually from a small company. It's bothering my throat, so I'm gonna blow it out.
This is live.
I'm verklempt. I know. So there's that. But anyway, guys, I hope you got to know a little bit about Jason. Jay, let's pepper in one more question just for fun. What
Okay.
is your favorite childhood cartoon?
Anything Nickelodeon. I feel like I grew up like watching Nickelodeon cartoons, so maybe Hey Arnold. Yeah, let's say Hey
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah, I don't know why I expected maybe something else, but like nobody like Cartoon Network when we were younger, that wasn't a thing. That
Nah.
was like the reject channel. It was always Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it was like Saturday morning cartoons, Nickelodeon, and then like Friday night, I think it was like TGIF. That was my jam.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, remember that?
Yep.
I can't. Okay, so just to keep back on track, because me and Jay could do this for hours.
Yep.
Jason, I've watched you morph into this incredible, confident, magnetic personality. I've watched you take leaps of faith in yourself and always rise to the occasion and take on new challenges. And we mentioned in our intro that you're a blogger and that you're in fashion and you're in lifestyle. So I just want to ask you, as somebody that has the I would say the Instagram and the presence and the website and the networking that you do, where did it all start? What made you get into this?
Wow, so it's definitely loaded, and thank you. That was really kind. Yeah, I think I kind of faced a little bit of life adversity, as we all do. So, tough situation. I lost three very close family members, of course, that really changed my reality. It really puts you into check, and you kind of have to grow up really fast as well. So, I think, I always wanted something for myself. The short of it, I worked in social media. I worked at two different creative agencies. So, we had, some clients that I did social media for. And then,
And that was your major
my major is actually
in
in
college?
marketing, so business admin and focus in marketing. So got into social media. I mean, it was definitely new back then, but I got to grow Facebook likes or run giveaway contests online, and it was fun. I mean, I was young and I had all this, I guess, power control. So that was really inspiring and motivational, coming from maybe like a job where I felt uninspired. But of course, I got home from work feeling a little bit uninspired and feeling the need to create something for myself. And I was having these client phone calls reporting in on their insights and showing them their graphs and their growth. And I'm just like celebrating these successes and wins. And I'm like,
With
okay,
big companies too, right?
great companies. Yeah. I mean, huge like doctors and bariatric surgeons, can't really drop names, but like food restaurants that we all know and love. And it was, a good time. And I was young. I was just graduating college. So I'm definitely thankful. But again, I felt like a vessel coming home. I felt like a shell of myself. And I was like,
Yeah.
so what do I do? And I always had this itch, I couldn't scratch, but all my life loved fashion. And I was just like, that little voice, or the limiting beliefs, I should say, inside of your head. And you think, there's no way I could do this. I couldn't make a career out of this. This will be, it won't be profitable, or I can't sustain this. Like, it's just a superficial, some made up world. But again, had to really nurture it. So I got into working
And
for, yeah,
sorry to cut you off.
no,
So
it's fine.
so you're saying, then you had the itch to start blogging and start reviewing and all that. So
Mhm.
who inspired you then? Like who were you watching?
A ton of inspiration. I think business entrepreneurs. So I would say like Lewis Howes. He's amazing. Talks about overcoming adversity in his career as an athlete and then turning into a motivational speaker. Ty Lopez. He's another great one. And then I think Gary Vaynerchuk. You can't go wrong if you really want to
Oh,
do something and get up off your behind. Watch a few Gary videos and listen to him, because he's going to put you in check real fast.
I think Gary Vee is becoming like a bit of a household name now just because of how viral he always goes on social.
Yeah.
But like anytime I hear him speak, I could be in bed and it's like, I gotta get up, I gotta just do something.
I'm not doing enough. Exactly. Yeah.
I know he's insane, but
He's
in a good
amazing.
way.
Yeah. And then, of
So
course,
okay, so
like,
you
yeah.
you found all these inspirations
Mhm.
and you realize, okay, I really want to do this, but what made you take the leap and actually do it? Was there a catalyst or
Yeah, I think I just wanted to create something for myself. So, I mean, following them, following their stories, their journeys, and then, of course, seeing Instagram, this brand new platform, it really wasn't what it is now. And I saw these new blogger guys, and, just always thinking, like, I couldn't be like them. There's no way I could be one of them. So, there was like larger guys who had like a few million at the time. And then, of course, some bloggers that are maybe in my realm that have micro influencers, I say would be a good name for us. 10,000 to like maybe 30,000, 40,000 followers on Instagram. So yeah, I mean, I really think just wanting something of my own, and then how could I, make my life into a brand, essentially stuff that I
right?
loved. So it felt natural. It didn't feel forced or, kind of like inorganic. I never wanted to come across that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think just wanting
And
to.
did you feel when you decided to take the leap and do this and get started, what did you do? You made a logo. Like what was your first step?
Yeah, I think my first step was I started building the website behind the scenes. I started the social account. So I think everyone got like that little creepy notification. It's like, your friend Jason Tez started Tez Trends. And it was like, who's this alter ego? Like, I actually had two accounts for a long time only because of my fear holding myself back. I was like, well, I can't post this on my personal account. It has to go on my business
Right.
account. And I never wanted to be so, I guess, annoy any of my friends or anyone in my circle. But yeah, I started the social accounts. I created a logo, started just like really learning the basics, I guess, teaching myself like, how to just blogging, reviewing, and giving quick little fashion tips of like how to properly tuck in your shirt and it doesn't look like a big baggy balloon
Right.
and it's wrinkled.
Right.
Almost all guys are guilty of that. I think going to a wedding, like you get comfortable, you take your blazer off, and it's like, what is this mess? But there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
There's certain pieces that you can buy for that. And then
Critical.
yeah,
Absolutely critical.
and it just became an extension of me. I never again, like I don't want to repeat myself, but again, just nothing is, that you find on my website. I always stand by this, and I could scroll back on my feed and there's not one thing that I regret. I mean, maybe I could look at a photo and I'm like, oh, that was my best. I could do
And
better.
you're talking about the brands that you collaborate with or the companies that you represent and
Yep.
promote.
Yes,
You have a genuine appreciation for these companies, right? You don't just take anybody. You
for
don't work
sure.
with just
I think it's
okay.
so important. And you
What
could
kind of filter do you run companies through? Like and tell us, I have so many questions. Let's
yeah.
start there.
Okay.
So what filter do you run people through before you start promoting their brand?
I think first and foremost, I mean, I either have to be a fan, have used it before, shopped at a store before, purchased the brand on my own with my own money, not gifted or, not sponsored. So that's first and foremost. If I haven't heard of you and you're a brand new startup, because those opportunities present themselves, whether it's a, email, DM, anything like that, I'll try it out. And I will never promise that I'll give a positive review, but I would not give a tacky negative review. That's only my standpoint. I think it's a waste of time. But
Right?
I'll let them know like, hey, you can send it to me. I'll try it out. I genuinely do try it out. And then I'll post a review if it's worth it, and we'll go from there. So I really working it out and making sure that it's a good fit, and I think that's so important to me. I can look back and feel really proud of everything they've put out. I think I could have accepted tons of things along the way. There's a bunch I say no to, and I'm just like, that's not for me. And it's no offense
Right.
to the brand. I just think it would stick out like a sore thumb for me, and it wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking like you're not going to promote like sneakers if you wouldn't wear them.
Totally. Yeah.
So when someone goes to their feed, they're not just seeing a bunch of random disconnected ads, right? They're
Exactly.
seeing a curated, genuine collection of things that you wholeheartedly recommend.
For sure. I'm wearing them in real life. I'm wearing them to work. I'm wearing them to outings. I mean, and it's, while it's could be gifted or maybe sponsored and we have to technically, by the terms and conditions of Instagram promoting something on there, we do have to hashtag, ad or sponsored at times. So that kind of
Yeah.
gets a little bit
Yeah.
weird. And I think it's a fine line. People are like, well, do you like it? What is it? What is it paid for? How much did he get paid? And that's where that
Yeah.
whole mindset comes in of like, is it genuine? But I think it comes across. You can tell.
I think people are just overall very skeptical sometimes because you see the Kardashians, you
Yep.
see really huge icons and it'll say ad.
Yep.
And then it's like, ugh, another deal that they just made, right? But then there's
Exactly.
you, then there's people like you that are, you have a large following, but you're not
Mhm.
necessarily with millions yet. And it's like, well, now is that disingenuous or is it?
Yeah, and I think it depends on the
you
person.
know?
You can tell. I mean, even though it's digital and it's a screen and it's a quick photo or a video, you can just tell when it's inauthentic and somebody is just, getting an opportunity really quick. So that resonates, and I hope my audience knows that they can actually trust me. And again, I think an angle, there's a whole lot that the general public or the average person doesn't know if they're not in this space. A lot
Right.
of brands require hard, tangible sales. You can't just get free stuff and they're like, hey, here's your PR package, here's this beautiful
Yeah.
watch, here's this suit. But we might need to move some product, so they have to swipe up, they have to proceed
So
to
Jay,
purchase. Yeah.
so with that said, and I know how much passion you have, and I know that you're honest. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, can you take us behind the scenes?
Hmm.
Give us one thing that really shocked you. So once you started up, you made your logo, you made your handles, you started getting your website together, and you
Hmm.
started either reaching out to brands or having brands reach out to you. What is one thing behind the scenes that shocked you that you weren't expecting?
I think just when I was starting out, I don't have a huge following now, but I have a good community that I've built.
You have a hefty following.
A good community, hefty. But basically, I think it's that was surprising. It's like, oh, the free gifting, the emails come in and the opportunities start rolling in, and you get so excited because you just can't believe that, oh my god, I'm getting this skincare for free, or whoa, they're gifting me with like $150 worth of free product. That's like the exciting, like fresh and new vulnerable times. But then once I realized that, wait a second, there's a business behind it. You can actually earn, there's commission, there's tiers behind this. If you sell X amount, sometimes it is dollars, sometimes it's clicks, sometimes it's impressions. So you can't really hide. Well, they have access to your back end, and that's when I think the line blurs for our moms who have social media
Right,
versus me, like, and something is quote unquote, again, an ad or sponsored. And it's, they can't really put their finger on it, like, oh, like, what's going on, because I have an account, can I do the same thing? But there's a business behind everything you
right,
see. So
right.
yeah.
Well, and that's just it too. It's like that no fake follower thing. It's like
Yeah,
you have to have an organic community and you have to know how to build that organic community. Is that right? And then
totally.
from there, the brands will be able to offer their service and product to you.
Yeah, and circles run small. I mean, a lot of these things are the brands directly, and which is great because you get to have that one point of contact. Sometimes they're like, "Hey, sign up for this network," and it's a whole affiliate link network. And what I'm trying to say is, it's not like the FBI. It's not scary or anything. It's exciting because you can see what sales transacted and all of that. That's the fun insight, like nerd in me, that really thrives off that. But
Yeah, yeah. But so there's actual data behind this. There's an actual strategy,
yes,
right?
there's budgets.
There's data, there's budgets, there's quotas. So it really is. It looks like, oh, Jason's posting on social media again, but really this is perfectly curated so that everybody wins. So
And
you
all,
can be
yeah.
creative,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And that the businesses can get exposure.
It's double, it's kind of like dual benefit. And I always say, I'm always thankful for any brand partnership because sometimes there's a contingency, it's set in place where I'm now exposed to their network, which I would have normally never have been, had that
Yeah,
chance. And
right.
new eyes are seeing me as well for the first time and learning about who I am. So it's yeah, I think there's got to be a mutual benefit for any partnership.
So Jay, so how do you personally, and you don't even have to try to be like politically correct here or worry about who you're going to offend. I just
Hmm.
want people to hear this from you.
Hmm.
How do you feel about the word influencer?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Not even a question,
Just the
but
term.
yeah, I think society has given it almost like a negative connotation. We just poke fun at the word, like, oh, she's an influencer, he's an influencer, and we almost look down upon it. But I think again, it's almost, I mentioned it earlier, but it's like everybody has a social media account, so they almost like take it as a joke. Like, you're opening up Instagram, so am I, but
Right.
I have a strategy behind mine. You just posted your food and you went out to eat. Like,
But they're influencers in their own right too.
yes, they are. Yes,
It's
everyone.
just that posting my McDonald's chicken nuggets isn't going to make McDonald's necessarily want to work with me.
Exactly. And
Right?
sometimes it's the unplanned stuff. You can't plan every last bit of, detail. But again, I
Yeah.
think that's the difference. So I think, there's accounts out there. I won't say the name. We all know it. We probably all follow it. But it catches influencers out in the wild shooting, whether it's up against a brick wall in an ocean or making a video and making fun of them. And it's like, is it laughable? It's like entertainment. Yeah, sure. But just because we're out there creating this stuff and, you're watching us like take these silly photos, that person's, while someone else on the receiving end is laughing, they're really serious about what they're doing. So,
Yeah, you know what? I can't really relate to how an influencer could feel when they're being watched until Jay and listeners. I just had last week an engagement photo shoot with my
mhm.
fiance, and the photographer, she was bubbly and she was enthusiastic and she was wonderful. I'm going to list her in the show notes because she is a New Jersey photographer and she was just incredible, amazing energy, right? But she said, I'm going to put you guys in some poses that are going to feel really weird and stupid, but they're going to come across chef's kiss, perfect, beautiful.
Mhm.
And so now you're an innocent bystander. You're in New York City where it's hip and happening and all things are going on, right? And you're just walking to work and you see an influencer and their photographer getting a shoot completed and you feel compelled to like, look at that, I'm seeing this. I shouldn't be seeing this. But in reality, like that's hard work.
You're
That's
hustling.
hard work.
You're working and you're hustling, and it doesn't seem like it because, again, everybody can take out one,
Everybody has a phone.
has this
Yeah.
thing, and can snap a quick photo, but you're not realizing that I have some goals here. I got to get some detailed shots. I got to get the pants. I got to get close up. I got to make sure my carousel's in line. So, I'm not,
And
it's
then the
not.
photographer has to check off her itinerary and make sure that everything was captured. And yeah, so it's a business. Yeah.
Totally. And I've seen
Yeah.
like when I'm standing on something or sitting on, and, in the city, like it's just funny. Horns will honk at you. You'll hear comments, like people will take you just really can't be self-conscious. And I am such a critical person. I mean, my entire brand is curated, if that doesn't say anything.
Well,
But
I wouldn't say, I mean, you're critical, but it's more like you have you have an eye for detail
thank you. That's really nice. Yeah,
and
thank you.
you don't kind of let anything pass through your own filter
Right.
of like, this is really what I want to put out there. Like you want it to be good quality, right?
100%. I have to just believe in it. I won't stop until, I am happy with it. I have to like go through, the final photos and be like, that's the one. I know this is going to be the main one.
Now, do the brands have to approve the imagery you make before you start posting?
It depends. I think it depends on the brand and the contract in place. Sometimes you get full creative freedom, which is amazing. And then other times they're like, hey, like we just need these few shots. And I can't even say that I've had some experiences, maybe one brand where it was a little bit like, oh, they're great, but we wanted some more variety. And in my head, I'm like, what? I thought I killed it.
Yeah, like I just spent an entire day getting ready and shooting, and it's not good.
Like
It's not.
renting out a place, and
Yeah.
like you again, like celebrating with drinks afterwards, thinking like, man, I did such a great job. And sometimes you have to revisit and you shoot, just some more supplemental like B-roll content, and that's okay. That stuff
Hmm.
happens in this business. They just want variety, so it's evergreen and they can share it without it looking the same. So sometimes you're changing in Starbucks bathrooms, you're changing in store bathrooms. This is the reality, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
funny, but we
And
do
guys,
it.
Jason's gonna get into, he's gonna give you some little gifts of, the three essentials for an aesthetic feed. But I really want I want you to see, like my goal for the listener isn't just for them to have, actionable tips and strategies if this is something they want to do, but I also want them to see the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into getting to the point where you have the tools and you have the confidence to start such a business. And
Right.
so, guys, so Jason, you know, with being a content creator, he didn't just necessarily, and Jay, you might not give yourself credit for this, but you didn't just roll out of bed and have this talent and this eye. I watched you curate this eye since we were teenagers.
It's crazy.
And we're in our young 30s now, right? It doesn't feel like that, but we
Mm,
are.
mm.
So you helped me with my vision in our 20s, right?
Yep.
And guys, Jay was he was literally called, he was my creative director.
Yep. Yeah, we were so young. We were like early 20s, and
Yeah.
Tara literally was like, "Oh, I'm starting this business." We met at a Starbucks, reconnected, and she's like, "Yeah, you've always like had a great eye. I would love to like have you run social and help out with social media, almost like assisting in like photo shoots and stuff." And I'm like, "This sounds like a dream." I remember going home and remembering her like with her notebook and sketches. I'm like, "I hope she does it. That was a cool idea." And just building it from there, and we have so many good memories from that
Well,
time.
think about so here's the thing. I want to drive home is that like we were in our young 20s, guys, and
Yeah.
I had this idea for a clothing line. And at the time, graphic tees were huge. And what I had wanted to do, what my vision for the brand was, that each shirt, it wasn't just we just printed shirts. Each shirt was full concept, and each shirt had its own photo shoot that related to the shirt itself. So we did a shirt called Maintain Your Composure, and we had a model, and we had a full glam squad and everything, and Jason was there and I was there, and we had a model go into a tattoo shop and actually get the logo tattooed on her arm. I mean, it was fake, it was photoshopped, but
Yeah.
we had a real tattoo artist in a real shop. Shout out to Jay from Our Lady of Ink. I'll link that in the show notes because he is my artist still. But we went full concept with these photos. Like, we literally were inspired by like America's Next Top Model. Like, we wanted editorial photos for t-shirts.
Yeah. We
And
went all out.
I could not have gotten the result that I did for this brand that is RAP no longer, but I couldn't have had that without Jason.
Oh,
And it started there. No, it really did, because you got to really, we would sit there, guys, and pictures don't just happen. You know
mm-mm.
what? I could go on a tangent. People consume and they scroll and they look and they glance and they like, and there have been hours of planning that went into just creating that one photo that you're just going to go
That's
right
it.
past.
Just scroll right back. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did we have to do to prepare for the photo shoot for that clothing line?
Oh my god, we literally had to, like, we would like drive around late at night, scout and like scope. I guess I should say scope out locations and stuff like that, and just be, oh, this is perfect, that's perfect. Like, I remember like in between classes, just like, getting the backdrop perfect, then like getting all the props, and we just wouldn't stop at nothing
We had to
because
do errand after errand to find the perfect props and make sure the clothes were perfect and the models were ready and coordinate a team of people. And we
yeah,
were in our young 20s. We didn't know anything about business, but we had the fire
it was pure
and the
passion.
drive. Yes. And you know what, guys, I'm going to probably somewhere on my social media, I'm going to share some of the photos that Jason helped me create with my co-owner at the time. So we had that experience together, which, me with an interior design background going into fashion, and then you in a marketing background going
Hmm.
into fashion and photography and creative, that really created offered us an incredible amount of opportunity to, like, what's the word? Like, exercise our talents.
I agree. Yeah, it was all an unforgettable experience. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it just like
Yeah.
we learned as we went, and we just blossomed and grew in time, and it got larger again. We were, I don't want to say kids, but young adults that
Young 20s. Yeah.
our friends were like out, and of course, we still had our fair share of fun. We weren't like workhorses the whole time, but
It was so much fun. And that's the thing. Don't be afraid. If you're listening to this now and you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, I don't care if you're in your 60s, I don't care if you're in your 70s. If you have a business idea, nothing's stopping you. You can do it. And guess
mhm.
what? I may not have been, this clothing line, it may not have been in mall stores just yet. And it might not have been a household name, but it was fulfilling. It got a lot of traction and it was so much fun. And what was it? A stepping stone.
Oh, we have insane
So
stories to tell. Stories that some people would love to live to tell the tale, and they couldn't, and that's not a
we
compare.
worked with we worked with Kelly Rowland
Hmm.
from Destiny's Child. She was wearing our stuff. We met red jumpsuit apparatus.
Yeah,
We had sponsored artists that were playing Bamboozle and were touring all over the country.
in the shirts, in
Um,
the clothes. Yeah.
in the clothes, and one of our sponsored artists is an MTV frequent, and she's has her own reality show now. And like, the amount of networking you get from just deciding, you know what, I have this idea, I'm not going to hold back. And that's exactly what you did too with Tej Trends.
Hmm.
You literally just said, you know what, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I just had to do it, and I was at a point. I would say anyone that would listen. I don't say just anyone, but like when we talk like business ideas or future ideas, or feel like I want to work for this company. If you gave me eye contact, I probably for a good year told you how I want to start this.
I'm
I,
dying, guys. I almost spit out my drink.
I literally would just tell people about this blog. I don't know why this is so funny. I would just tell people about this blog, and thinking back now, they probably looked at me like, what is he talking about? What does he want to do? How is he going to make money? And finally,
No, it's hilarious because it's true. Like, when you're creating and you're in your flow, like your creative flow, you're just like this. Like, you just, I can't wait to tell somebody. And then the second you have the opportunity, it's like, well, I'm working on this passion project, and And
And you know
isn't
what? Yeah,
that
I think it was overthinking as well. Like I wasn't creating an alter ego. Like, I thought it was like
it was you. It
this
was you.
cooler version of myself, but it's like it was all because of overthinking. And once I finally did it, it just grew from there.
Jay, it wasn't a cooler, or it isn't a cooler version of you. It is you, right? Like you are
Oh
cool. Like, and it's this guy's cool.
yeah.
So here's something huge. And guys, I promise we're gonna get to these incredible tips, but I need to know from you. How
Hmm.
did you handle, as you were trying to start this up, how did you handle the naysayers though? And the people that were not on board with you doing
There's
this?
still so many until this day, but I think with maturity, with time, with growth, sounds like I'm like tooting my own horn, but literally, you just learn
No, no,
you
you're in self-development. That's
you
beautiful.
you learn that it's just noise, and you learn that they're probably and I used to do it myself. I think a huge thing that I always live by is when you recognize these things, you probably used to do it because you know the pattern. So I used to do it. I used to be like jealous of this one. Oh my god, he has this, I'll never do that. And
Mm.
it's anyone who's like kind of like yapping away like, how will you make money off that? What's that going to do for you?
Negative Nancy's.
It never led those. It's not even about like, oh, I'm better than those people now. That's a horrible mindset, but
No.
they only said it because they were unsure of probably themselves.
Something within them. Yes.
And I just have to live by that and remember that. And yeah, just shutting off the noise, I think, has taken me a very long way. I just feel like I just operate totally different as as compared to when I first started.
So do you feel like doing this has changed you then? You would say you've transformed through this. This was transformative.
Spiritually, mentally, maybe like in terms of owning my own business, owning my it's just an escape, and it's like it's not this chore. I feel like it's myself, but I know I have an objective and a goal, and it motivates me. And I do always say that my blog has never let me down,
Yeah.
ever. Even when I get miss an opportunity, I'm like, man, that would have been cool. Or I'm scrolling my feed, and I know some of these guys. I say guys because mainly menswear bloggers. It's the industry's kind of small. We all know each other. Some of us are friends. We bump into each other at events, and we're not competing, but if it's a cologne deal or clothing and I see what they shot and I'm like, man, I could have gotten that. But you can't be bitter. You can't really
Right.
count the missed opportunities. I just sometimes,
Oh, because what's meant for you is going to be yours.
right. And sometimes, the following week you're like, man, I'm in a low point. Like, what's going on? What's up? Like, I'm vibrating lower. I'm not getting any good opportunities, but it's like, did I put in any work? Did I outreach? Did I follow up on that pending thing? And then sometimes you get pleasantly surprised and it leads you to bigger and better. But, again, I can look back and sometimes I can't even believe what I've done. That's not a bragging thing. It's like, wow, like,
No, no, it's not. Because you know what, Jay, like that's what it's about. I wish for every human
mhm.
that in the day that they're in today, and in the mind that they're in today, they can look back and say, "Wow, I'm better than I was yesterday." I wish that for everybody.
Yeah, it's making yourself proud. It's almost like, I don't say it from a cocky place. No, I say,
No, no, and if anybody interprets it that way, shame on them because that's not it. It's
yeah,
you're allowed to be wowed by yourself. That's
yeah,
okay.
that's the goal. And it's like, I can,
Yeah.
just looking back and feeling whole and you're like, whoa, I did that. And impressing
Yeah.
yourself.
And,
That's
and
all.
Jay, we didn't even touch on this. Jay is 9 feet tall.
I'm pretty, I don't fit anywhere. I don't fit in
He doesn't
airplanes.
fit in cars.
I don't fit in Ubers. I don't fit in the back seat. I can't fit in. I could barely fit in like train subways. I can't find clothes. My whole business is about styling and putting on and taking photos in clothes. I've walked out of fitting rooms before, literally with like a stack of pants is my nightmare. Pants are my nightmare, I should say.
You
Um,
start sweating.
I'm sweating now thinking about it because it's in my head. I've walked out of fitting rooms before. Literally, I feel like I'm screaming. I've walked out of fitting rooms with like a pancake stack of pants, and like been like, oh, none of them work, and like Zara, Macy's, Blooming, like anywhere, and people are like, well, where do you buy clothes? And I'm like, great question. Like, it's really just like trial and
I wear
error.
a lot of shorts.
But I should just live my life in shorts from now on. Uh,
Yeah. But the thing is, like, look at where you came from though. Like,
yeah.
you not only did you transform your physical appearance, because guys, when I met Jason back in high school, He had, for anybody watching the video, you can see my hands. He had
Yeah,
spiked hair that was like 9 inches, 9 to 12 inches tall off his head. So he was
such
already tall, and then he did the taller hair.
such a geek.
No, you were awesome though. Like that was the thing then. Like that was
Hey,
so
you know what?
cool.
I won best hair in high school, so that says something.
All of us with that regular ass hair, we weren't in the yearbook. But like look where you like that's what's so fascinating about personal growth and personal development and taking leaps of faith, because you can be the person that you envision yourself to be.
Aspire to
And
be
I'm
a
on
better
that
version.
journey now. Yeah. And
Hmm.
like for years I've wanted to start a podcast. I just love talking to people, and I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. And finally I did it.
Hmm.
And add that onto my resume, and it's making me happy.
Totally.
I feel fulfilled. And to be able to watch that with you, I really just think it's so inspiring that you did this. And I wanted to just touch on something you said about how there were naysayers, and people all had their little comments and whatever, but
No.
I'm going to be a little vulnerable right now and like kind of reveal this about myself. And I don't know if you can agree that you've done this, but there's been times on my business account that I've posted something, just candid Tara, just here's me, put it on.
Hmm.
And then a few minutes go by and I look at it and I click and I see who viewed the stories. And I'm like, oh, that person viewed it. And then I try to watch myself through that person's eyes. And then I see somebody else that viewed it that's like a different category. And I'm like, oh, like, ooh, I don't know if I should have posted this. And I fight that feeling
Hmm.
because we're all being like watched on social media. So what advice do you have for like overcoming that anxiety of like worrying about like the Tom, Dick, and Harry that's looking at your feed?
It's gonna happen, and people have, nowadays it's kind of creepy to say, they even have like secondary or fake accounts. If you block or mute them, say it's like an ex or a friend that you just don't want in your life or anything of that sort. I think, again, if you feel connected to it, your car you drive, I mean, I hope this for everyone, I hope you like your car. The clothes that you wear, everyone deserves to feel connected. It's not even materialistic or superficial. It sounds horrible, but the clothes you wear. I mean, even if you're just wearing a t-shirt, are you wearing a red t-shirt? You're wearing a yellow one because you're really social and bubbly and you want to show that? Or are you wearing like black because you're just kind of feeling like you want to blend in today? You should always feel connected to everything, and your social media should be that as well. So if you have an opinion, you can't really apologize for offending someone, because someone in there could be the most, like wholesome opinion, and you're never going to please everyone. Living by that has taken me so far, because I mean, till this day, have I deleted a post here and there? I'm like, it didn't get enough likes, didn't do as well as I thought it would.
I think we're all guilty of that sometimes. Well, from at least the brand space, like anytime you're a personal brand.
Yeah,
But
we all do
it's
it.
like I'm fighting to overcome that and bring my authenticity and realize that I'm going to lose a few.
Yeah,
There's going to be a few people that don't resonate with me, and have a nice day.
yeah.
That gives more room for somebody who does resonate with my message to follow me.
The ones that
And
don't belong there are just filler anyway. They're probably just spying and viewing your stories, and
or
it's
whatever we want to make up about it, but it's about like just bringing that authenticity, and I know that you strive for that, and I've been trying to do that as well, because what's the point? You're never going to please everybody, right?
never. Yeah, it's impossible.
So with that said though, when you're curating your business Instagram feed, there's no shame in having a standard for it.
Not at all. No, that's your brand.
So yeah, and that's the version of you that you wish to present, or that's the feeling you're wishing to evoke from somebody based on the color palette you choose. And so
Yep,
Jay, I really want to hear you get into these tips. I really want to know what you're going to tell me are the three essential things for an aesthetic Instagram.
for sure. Yeah. So I think I would definitely start by planning, for sure. So planning out your feed is just the recipe for success. I mean, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. I am such a planner in my life. Even I literally physically write down things. If it's temporary and could be changed, it's in pencil, so I can erase it. And if
Oh,
it's
like you use a physical planner.
can't live without it. And
So
if
you're
it's
saying for Instagram, your post should be physically planned out.
physically planned out, and yeah, just relating that back to digital, I think just being a planner in my everyday life, I mean, whether it's a tree or flowers as filler versus your coffee cup, and then your campaign where it's like a pretty loud ad, You want like minimal stuff around that. You don't want to have like drawing, I'm selling you something, I'm selling you something, this isn't authentic, and spacing that out. Some people's feeds, I mean, it's all them all the time. But I think if you have a planning app, whether you are, if you're drawing anime, if you are, a tattoo artist, if you are a singer, a dancer, of course, I mean, if you're a dancer, I hope every video is like you dancing, but maybe people want to see you like working out. They want to see you, your outfit, like your cool dance outfit. So I think it's again, planning, it doesn't mean that it's inauthentic because you're like, oh, that's not live. Well, he took that like 3 weeks ago.
That's what's hilarious is people forget like, hey, yeah, I might have posted this sandwich, but I ate that a week ago.
Like it's okay. Instagram doesn't have to be live. So it's I think when you plan, you have just this nice like curated feed, and again, you can look back and you're like, oh, that's
Are there
this.
are there certain like apps that you use for this or programs?
Yeah, there's a bunch out there. So I use Planoly, and that's a great one. And there's also like Unum, which you can use, and Preview. I believe those
And
two
I'll
are
link these guys in the show notes.
both free. So Planoly is paid, but Unum and Preview, from what I know, I believe they're still free. And yeah, you can just plan out and like play with squares and filler stuff, and you'll just feel inspired to what you're creating next. And if you're out somewhere, like even drinking or eating and whatever, like up against a brick wall, you'll know that like that post can be there soon, or you're planning to take that soon. So planning first and foremost. I would say editing is next. So tip number 2 is editing for sure. Get yourself some editing apps. I personally use Lightroom. I love that, and I drop like the same preset on almost every photo. Usually not when I work with a photographer because I think that's a little bit offensive. Rule of thumb: do not drop a filter on any photographer's photo. That's highly offensive. Unless you guys know any different, the photographers I worked with, don't drop an Instagram filter on it, please. And I just think that's an
So I
important.
can't use XX Pro.
Don't use that. And like the thick black border, like those days are gone. Like people will just like drop like they like lower the resolution. But yeah, most of my personal photos on my phone that I've taken, I'll drop the same filter just for familiarity and aesthetic feed. So I think editing is huge. Some free apps, I believe Lightroom is free. Lightroom, Visco, or VSCO, however you may pronounce it. An easy tip to get started: go in there, look through those filters, and just drop one on that you like, and try.
But how does that work if I am integrating some photography from a pro,
I think
but
just
I've selected that filter?
looking out for tones. I mean, so I wouldn't. You don't have to drop it on every one. So the photography ones, I wouldn't personally put it on there. But just having the same like moody tones. So if you just got fall photos done and you have like a hazel mocha theme, and you really have like that brown moodiness going on, choose one of the photos that have the leaves incorporated in there, and it's going to tie in perfectly. So you can
So
always.
don't put like a beach ball next to it.
Exactly. I think it's about consistency. So if my theme, I love black and white, and I love white. So white to me is clean, pristine, and that's when people are like, "Whoa, it's really clean. What's going on? Which is different?" But my focus color is white. If you go through my feed, you're going to see a ton of white space in there.
Right.
So play with that, and I think just get a feel for what you like. If you like a darker, moodier, lighter, bright and airy, I've seen like dusty rose feeds. Again, don't focus on it too much because then you might not be authentic and you're just feeling it. So it's a balance, it's a fine
But
line.
it's about having an intention, having a direction.
Right. And not everybody, it's not for everyone. Some people just want themselves every photo. So it's you up against, again, like it's you up against the log cabin, it's you up against the brick wall, it's you on a park
Yeah.
bench. That's okay too.
And this is the other thing, folks. If you're somebody who you're like, you know what, I don't really even care to curate my feed. Okay, fine, power to you. We're
That's
not
okay.
saying that that's negative or there's one way to do it. It's that, if you go to a feed like Jason's, and I hope you guys have gone there or will, if you go to a feed like Jason's, you're gonna see it's just magnetic because it's so beautifully crafted, and that's what he's going for. And these tips are for if you want something similar.
Right. And my feed is not perfect, but to me, I'm happy with
You're
it.
happy
So,
with it. Yeah, you feel you represented yourself properly and you created some art.
right. Thank you. So it's
So
not for
yeah, so
everyone.
okay, so number one, you need to be planning, have a planning app. Number two, it's all about your editing of these images.
Hmm.
And what's number three?
Number 3 is good photography. So it doesn't mean go out and charge this. Like, not everyone is so fortunate to have this beautiful DSLR camera. Then you're adding on $1,000 lens. I think, we all have a smartphone or, a phone on us. That's the camera that's on us.
I'm still
And
using my Nokia.
okay, that didn't apply to you. So again, I hope,
A razor.
if you have a smartphone, yeah, like the detachable camera that you have to turn and it was like brown and grainy, just post your whole feed as that.
That's actually like sounds amazing, but keep going.
Anyone
Sorry.
who would release that account would go viral overnight. But anyway, yeah, I think just if you have your smartphone on you, that's the phone that's on you. It's genuine. You're not editing. It's not overdone. You can easily take like quick burst photos. So good photography. Invest in it. Get yourself some professional shots, especially if you are, selling a brand, selling yourself, selling a service. Invest in that. What are you creating? If you're a designer like Tara, I mean, I hope I would see you like flipping through some swatches, paint colors, and like you working because you're working like a mad scientist. Me, I mean, I want to see the clothes. I want to see the clothes up close. If I'm purchasing that from a retail store, whether it's ecom online, swiping up and the link is right in front of my face, or if I'm going to, after work, I'm going to head right to the store and buy it, I want to see from my feed that it's like, wrinkle free. It's, really pigmented. It looks great on. It's falling good on my body.
Right.
So I think the details and photography, professional photos will take you such a long way. So mixing those in, my feed is not all professional by any means, but again, it's the consistency with the editing that makes it look, pretty professional, I would say.
Well, that's it too. So if your other top tip is good photography, guys, not everything's going to be free.
Mm-mm. You got to
You're going to
invest.
have to invest. You either, listen, yes, can you make magic with the iPhone? 150%. I've seen you do it. I've seen Jason take pictures of me that blew my mind. But not everything's going to be free. You're going to have to sometimes pay for apps. You might have to pay photo editors. You might have to pay photographers. You might want to develop a relationship with these people.
I think so. And having that go to person always helps, or people. If you have like two photographers or three that you normally work with, I mean, me, I've been very fortunate and blessed. She's one of my best friends. Her name's Laura. We'll include her information as well. But
Yeah.
she is so talented. And I mean, when you see me laughing, even like in the shots, we are friends. Like Tara and I, this is how we talk on the phone. It's not an act. I mean, we are genuinely connected. So I think when you have that, if I'm laughing in a photo, probably an inside joke. It's probably a
So
genuine
you're
laugh.
saying like people should work with somebody they're comfortable with.
It reads again, like I think I said it earlier, and I keep like going back to points, but it's like you can see it. You see it in someone's eyes, you see it in their face, their body language. Get someone you're comfortable with. You can just tell. And the last thing you want to do is pay for photos and you're like, you don't look like yourself or you're not happy with
Right.
them. So somebody that is going to just bring out the best in you and capture those special moments, know your angles. I think that's huge. And
And like knowing how to evoke your inner beauty, I think, because I've shot with a couple photographers too, and I always start out, I'm not as comfortable as you are in front of the camera, and I always start out kind of like, what do I do? Like very stiff, like,
and I've seen
and
that
it's
so many times.
and then if you're lucky, the a photographer, I think they're good at what they do when they could like calm you down, like, listen, girlfriend, chill.
It still
You're
happens.
not on a job interview with the FBI, like you can
Exactly.
relax.
Still happens. It happens to me almost every time, and I always say that
So you
people
start out nervous too, even though you do it so much.
always, because I'm in my head, I'm overthinking of what it looks like behind the screen, and if I just see myself, then I get it, and then it flows. So, and I've been behind the camera as well. I'm not always the subject of. So
Yeah.
I've shot for friends and family just here and there,
And
and
how did you get, so you have some photography skills and this helps you, right?
yes, yeah.
But how did you pick this up? Like do you just have a natural talent or did you have to study photography?
I've always loved it. I think ever since I got my first, actually, when I was in high school, it goes back to high school. I got like my first, I saved up like all my paychecks for like this camera. I think it was like 300 or 400 bucks.
Your mall store paychecks that we got minimum wage.
It took me a long time. My whole paycheck went on like gas, diner food, local shows, Starbucks. Like that's all it went to.
Guys, in Jersey, the diners to die for.
We have the best diners,
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I saved up for this camera and it was in my pocket anywhere we went. Like charged up, ready to go, capturing videos, capturing friends. I had no aesthetic. I had no theme. Stuff wasn't posted anywhere. Actually, I was emailing it to friends. I think it was like I would use like Photo Bucket. Is that a
Or
thing?
we had the world is around. We
World
had
is
like these
around.
weird websites.
These photos were meant for MySpace actually, and like nobody cared. I mean, like you cared about your default photo and how you looked, but that was it. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
wasn't like it is now. It was definitely more raw.
I just always loved capturing not only my life but like the life of others. And if I send somebody an old archived video from like 10 years back, till this day I can just go on my account because again, or being organized, it's by year, it's by year, by month,
Yeah.
and I could just pull those and it's a great memory. So starting out, just like it sounds so cheesy, but like the core concept of what photography even is, And
Yeah,
then
the
I
rule of
actually,
thirds and colors and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, then I got my first DSLR, and it was super. It wasn't crazy expensive, but that was an investment in college. And I would just go around to parks and shoot with friends and get them more comfortable. Yeah, going from there, and then so I enjoy both, but I do see the whole nervousness thing. Going back to that, I feel like
Yeah.
even when I've shot anyone else, the end of the shoot, those are the best photos because the
Yeah.
my headphones are gonna fly out. The edge is off, and it's like that's when the best stuff comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. But so that's the thing too. Like I think I touched on this like a couple sentences ago or whatever. But like, guys, there's something to say about talent, and then there's natural talent, and then there's something to say about experience. And like, if you're just starting something creative for the first time, let's say you've worked in like the medical field and you've always had this dream of being a fashion designer, right? Like, it's not going to be pretty when you first start. You need to go through that growth and like don't give up, because look where it gets you. And like, this is the thing again, where there's no limit on age. You could start something at 45 years old and your kids are shipping off to college, and yeah, you're going to start something and you might not be the best at it. And if that's the case, you can choose to either hone your skill or you can hire.
Hire help. If you need the help and you're weak at something, recognizing your weaknesses will take you so far. And
Right.
you can master. I mean, something that you have an interest in. But I think people are so like, oh, I can't do this, or I tried this and it didn't come out the way I wanted to. Don't be embarrassed about that. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can't do it all. You can't be an email designer and then I'm taking photos and I'm editing them myself. And it's nice when you can save money, but get the help that you need. That
And
will
listen, it might sound contradictory because here Jason is telling you, well, I take my own photos and I am my own model and I do my own Instagram. But again, those were curated skills that he's worked on since he was a
Mhm.
teenager.
Yep.
So, listen, with me being an interior designer, I can tell everybody very plainly, because even my clients know this. One of my weaknesses is administrative organization. That's not my zone of genius. My zone of genius is putting fabrics together and creating looks and communicating and evoking emotion for my clients and like learning and discovering them. But I can't file away my paperwork for beans. So I have to hire for that. And that's okay.
That's
But
all
like,
right.
if you could find a career where you get to operate in your zone of genius, and there's a book I'm reading right now. Oh, what's it called? I'm going to list it in the show notes. It's called, um, oh guys, I forgot what it's called, The Big Leap or something. And it talks
Okay.
about this. It talks about how, there's different zones. There's zones of competence, zones of excellence, and then there's your zone of genius. And that's where you need to be operating.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I hope everybody took something from this. And if you're just looking to start anything creative, just do it, but be
Go
patient
for
and
it.
forgiving, and love yourself, and don't put too high expectations on yourself, right?
You just get better. You get better with time. I mean, yeah, are there cringy photos that I look back on? Yeah, for sure. I mean, but as a whole,
But
again,
that's part of you. That's part of your story. So we don't delete those, right, guys?
no, don't delete
We
them. And
we leave our old
it
selves.
sounds like I'm contradicting myself. I'm like, oh, you can look back and be proud. I mean that like it's okay that they're there. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, I just scroll a little bit more up and I'm like, whoa, I like really grew there. So
Yeah.
again, just anything that you're starting, don't overthink it. I think overthinking, and I'm personal victim. I don't want to say victim, but personal like lesson of that for me. I'm not making any sense.
Yes, you
Um,
are.
I went through that myself, and I think
Right.
overthinking is your biggest like hurdle and roadblock. Don't do it.
It
Just go
totally
for
is.
it. Yeah.
Just do it 100%. And life is short. And like, I know we're coming off like a little like we're double teaming lecturing you guys.
Yeah, it seems like it.
But that's just because we've been there. And
Mhm.
there's been times where I've seen Jason where he could have easily just said, you know what, I'm done with my blog. I'm done. But guess what? He persevered and he kept going. And Jay, like, just to show you guys the magic of like when you follow your heart and you follow your dream, Jay, are you able to name drop one of the celebrities you've worked with?
Yeah, for sure. So I got an opportunity to work with Nick Jonas actually, and it always happens. Like again, we're talking about planning and being careful and mindful. I knew I was going to this event, so I was actually helping them launch. I was going to create content for Nick Jonas and John Varvatos, who's a designer. They were doing a collab cologne together. So I knew like Nick would be at. Well, I had a feeling I would hope so at his own fragrance launch, but I knew he'd be there. I knew I'd have like cool like photos with the cologne bottle. That's all I knew, and I signed up for that, and it was coming. But I was at my desk at work, and I got out around like 5 p.m. I got an email like 4:30, and they're like, "Hey, Jason, are you still in the city? Like, can you actually make it here at the venue? a little bit earlier, we'd love to have you film with Nick. You'd be one of like the 10 chosen guys that are coming tonight. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I think that's when I